Hey, this is a surprise live stream. So, this is what I wanted to do. I noticed that a lot of the Black Friday final prices are being posted by Best Buy. They call it Black Friday Guaranteed. And now, what that really means, that's why I posted it into my thumbnail. When you see Black Friday Guaranteed on Best Buy, what they mean is that if the price changes on Black Friday or by Black Friday, go ahead and they will price adjust it. But I also use that as a guidance for you guys to get an idea of how close we are to the final prices. More importantly, there were a few prices that actually dropped briefly. And when I say briefly, literally 5 hours before that price sold out. And then it hit me, you know what? We might see those prices again. So some of these TV prices, if you look now, it's not on anywhere. It's not on Best Buy or Amazon because they only touched it for possibly a few hours before it disappeared. And what's important to remember is this is Best Buy and Amazon. Many people have found these prices on Green Toe, but remember, if you go on Green Toe, returning is a bit of a crapshoot. So oftentimes, if you're more focused on getting a TV that you don't have to swap in and out, I recommend going to Value Electronics, who will go through the trouble of quality control, turning it on, making sure everything works, and letting it break in for a bit, and they'll match any of the big authorized retailer. Now, with that out of the way, we're going to do a few things today that's a little bit different. First, we're going to go over the updated prices on my price matrix. Second, we're going to go over some use case, and I have some fun use cases for you guys. Interesting use cases that I think could be applicable to you. So we'll have fun with that. Oh, I love this comment. Let's see. FOMO watching television prices like he watches his Tesla stock prices. Isn't that crazy? At least with Tesla stock, maybe I can make some money, right? And Robuster, let's see. UAG compared to A80J and C1, which needs calibration. Only the A80J does not need calibration more often than not out of the box. UAG is actually getting better. And its issue really is you have to get it contrast calibrated. I think its contrast is a little bit off. So I still recommend calibration for the UAG and the C1. Many have said that calibration does help reduce some of that pink tinting, the C1 and G1 tinting that they're not fixing at the factory. And calibration will help with that. Like certain greens are a little bit too much, too pumped up. So all of the Sonys this year, we're talking X90J, X95J, A80J, and A90J out of the box, rock solid, and the Z9J, obviously. So if it's something that is you don't want to calibrate, then obviously get the Sony. But if you're okay with the calibration, then any of these TVs, I highly recommend calibration. The one that came closest out of the box without calibration, though, still has to be, I think, the U7G, surprisingly. U7G has better contrast out of the box than U8G. So, and the TCL comes close. The Roku TCL actually comes closer to me than the R646, which is a bit pumped up in the luminance for some people that value accuracy. And hey, Fabian, I will buy either the 65 or 65 Hisense U7G. Is the difference between VA and the IPS panel relevant? Hey, you know what? Let's just jump in and talk about that real quick right now for you guys to see. We will start with my personal feeling on IPS is that I cannot recommend it if I haven't seen it. Now, if I've seen the IPS and I like it, I can say, hey, I've seen the IPS, I love it, go for it. When I have seen the IPS in the past with the LG IPS panels, the nanocells, I have not been impressed. This year, I'm hearing it's better. But if you match IPS to VA, consistently the VA version will have better contrast and will have better blooming control. That's in the same TV model series from the same brand. So that's Samsung, and specifically, with that being the case, I cannot imagine that Hisense could do it better than Samsung. So I would expect that the IPS version in the 75-inch will probably have more lifted blacks side by side, obviously, and more blooming at angles. So if those things are important to you, but again, this is in a vacuum. If you buy the TV with nothing next to it, you may end up liking it. And this is what I tell all people all the time. I have these TVs next to each other, and I try to show you what they look like next to each other, right? But if you brought it home and have no reference point, then the IPS U7G might actually be pretty good, especially if you came from a TV that was side lit from 10 years ago. U7G is probably going to be a better TV than that 10-year-old TV. But if you're coming from a Samsung Q8FN or maybe a Sony from 2 years ago, I don't know that U7G will be better. So it really depends on where you're coming from. Yes. Great picture, and this is why it's my editor's choice. I think it makes a huge impression. But let's jump into the prices real quick, and then we'll start talking about use cases for you guys. Because like you are anxious about the current price updates. And today I'm going to start from the 83-inch size first, because I wanted to let you know that the Samsung QN90A at one point last week or the week before actually dipped to 2600 before it jumped up back to 3300 and then went to 3000 and now it's at 4000 and it's out of stock, by the way. So I think that's why it returned to 4000. Like what do we care? It's out of stock. Let's price at 4000 to make it feel premium. But for a few hours there were many who picked this up at 2600, and this is why we're doing this stream. By the time I got to that news and got my post ready, it was already sold out. So I was like, what's the point? So instead of doing that, what I wanted to do on this video with the pricing is this. These are possible prices. If you see it, more likely than not, just get it. It's not going to get any lower, and if it does, maybe 100. But this is what's happened in prices this year. Will it ever come back? Who knows? But more likely than not, during this year, 2021, it may during Black Friday. But if you want to see it again, you're going to have to wait until 2022 when the year turns, right? So this 2600 Q98 is insane, and that's why it sold out really quick. And it may be the reason why it sold out, right? So in the 83-inch, there's actually not a lot of good deals. This is why only the Samsung, even at 3000, I think it's not bad. Now, what I have in gray, so you see it's color coded. The bright green is great deals. White is it's okay, and gray is it's a good TV, but if you're looking for the best deal, it's not my first choice. So the Samsung QN900A at $5,500, it's cheaper than it launched, but I wouldn't pay extra for that 8K. I mean, it doesn't bring anything to the table. I'd go with the QN98 all day long at half the price. That's ridiculous, right? And below that, if you want 85-inch, but you can't push to above 2000, these are only TVs that I would say, hey, go for it. The image isn't so bad, and it gets you 85 inches at around 2000 or a little bit under. So there's not a lot here. Let's jump to the 75-inch. And yes, I know you're asking, wait, when's the 83-inch OLED's going to drop? Not until next year. I don't see it going under 5,000 this year. Probably by Super Bowl Sunday, you're going to see a little bit on the C1, maybe under 5,000 at that point. Now, there may be special deals by places like Green Toe, but again, be aware that you're going to have a hard time returning it if you have any issues. Okay, 75, 77-inch. The Sony A80J LG C1 will be around 2,900. Even on Black Friday, we may see it drop a little bit more. And well, I was talking about Green Toe. Let's go to Brian T's point. I wanted to bring this out. 6,083-inch, Brian? Are you kidding me? That is a great price. And let me tell you why, Brian. I can buy this at distributor pricing. And when I reached out to them to see if they've raised the prices, they said, oh, yeah, it is now 5,800 if you're getting directly at the distributor. So 6,000. Man, that is really low. So prices are going up across the board on the A90J. What it was launched at to the retailers is now gone up to the same retailers. If you could find it at anything under 8,000, I think it's going to be a good deal this year. But this is why it's not white on my screen. A90J is definitely priced at a premium. Keep that in mind. Okay. Oh my gosh, Brandon. Hey, man. Don't forget, we're going to have live stream on Pass Remote with you guys are going to love this with Brian on Friday, and I'm going to show you this. This is what we're going to talk about on Friday. Nerd ranting on overpriced PCs. So those of you getting the LG C1 and Samsung Q90A, how many of you will benefit from the specific features on this TV? Brian has a lot to say, and he's not happy with some reviewers that are so focused on the specs that it is unlikely you'll ever see these specs happening on your TV, not because the TV can't handle it, but because the game itself is not going to require your TV to do that much to make it look good. So this is going to be a fun rant tomorrow on Pass the Remote. How do I know about dimming zones? Which manufacturers? Okay, pecan pie, forget dimming zones. This is something that we've been talking about a lot recently. Ever since Sony came out with the X95J with 90 dimming zones and how close it got to the Samsung QN98, which has, I don't know, almost 800 dimming zones. I realized that although dimming zones could be important, like imagine what Sony could do with 800 dimming zones if it could do this with 90, the reality is get the TV that has the best image quality, and the dimming zones may or may not be an indicator, right? So keep that in mind. Manufacturers don't often tell you how many dimming zones, and the ones that do, it's because the dimming zones are hiding the fact that possibly the TV may not be performing better than TVs with less dimming zones. That's the problem. But you literally would have to count dimming zones, and all manufacturers have a TV model that has dimming zones. Normally, it's their flagship. So the Sony X95J, X90J have dimming zones, full array local dimming zones, FALD. Samsung, obviously, all their QN series have dimming zones, and their non-QN this year do not have dimming zones. And TCL 6 series and 5 series, I believe, have dimming zones. Hisense U7G, U8G has dimming zones. But again, do not focus on how many dimming zones. Just the fact that they have dimming zones is probably going to be important. Let's answer this. Hey, Russian buddy. Hey, foam, I have now the X900F 65-inch and now can go for the X95J 70 for 2700. Is it worth it and better than the X950H and QN98? Well, let's look at it. Thank you for that segue. So here we are. Let's look over here real quick. In the 75-inch size, what do we have? I really love the A80J at 2900 and the LG C1 at 2900. I don't expect it to drop too much from that. If it does, 2600 is something that KG is speculating, possibly because he's seeing it at the military discount. So somewhere between 2600 and 2900, you are going to see these TVs. That's not such a huge jump that I'd wait. The question then is X95J for 2700, is it better than QN98? Not if you can get the QN98 for a few hundred less. So it comes down to, and this is why the QN98 is such a good TV. A lot of people are saying, oh, I'm a Sony shill. I love Sony over Samsung, and it's technically not better. Absolutely not. If you take value out of the equation, the Samsung is untouchable when it comes to black bars, non-OLED TVs, obviously, right? QLED LCD TVs. The Samsung has a separate black bar algorithm that's decoupled from the content. So no matter what you do with local dimming in the content between the black bars, your black bars stay solid. That's amazing. Sony can't do that. Nobody can this year or before. Given that, however, Samsung also has, one or two small shortcomings compared to the Sony X95J, which is X95J is plug and play. You get the best color, full screen. If you don't care about black bar, more often than not, it's blooming. It's not always perfect. There will be scenes where the Q98 is a little bit better, but this is why price is so important. When they're the same price, the QN98 more often than not is my recommendation because it also uniquely has an anti-glare coating. But to you, the 75-inch X95J also has the anti-glare. So which would I choose? In my mixed use room where I have lots of lights, I would choose the Q98 because glare is a distraction to me. This has nothing to do with image quality, but the X95J also has anti-glare. And not having reviewed the 75-inch X95J anti-glare, I can't say that it's better, but if it's close to Q98, the X95J would be a consideration given that, because in a brighter room, I'm not going to notice the blooming as much, either in the black bars or in the content. So this is a close call. If I don't use a soundbar, I'd probably go with the X95J. Consistently, I've found this year Samsung to be very bad in their TV audio. I don't know what the deal is with Samsung this year in the TV audio. But if I plan to use a soundbar and that's not an issue, I do prefer the Q98's more luxury cosmetic feel. I've told you guys a lot about this. Samsung did a great job making the Q98 look good, right? It's got the borders, looks very premium. I love that. matte metal silver. It looks great. I like the remote on the Samsung a little bit better. I do like the solar powered stuff. So lifestyle, QN98, I believe, wins it. But then color accuracy, I had the QN98 calibrated at Value Electronics and the X95J calibrated. But if you don't plan to have it calibrated and you value color accuracy and contrast accuracy, then the X95J out of the box will be more accurate. And lastly, DSE. Samsung's having a reputation this year and last year for large screens having a DSC uniformity issue. Sony less so. So statistically, if you go to X95J, it's going to be more trouble-free in terms of uniformity. So hopefully it answers your use case. But either one are great TVs. It would be hard for me to say either one definitively unless I knew exactly what your use case is. So let's jump to a few super chats. Chris, thank you for that. I need a big TV for exercise room, 9 to 10 feet distance. Already, I'm thinking 75, 83 inches at least, right? Straight on, good. 90% YouTube videos. Oh, well, that makes it easy. Thinking 85-inch X85J. OLED for movies, but that 85-inch. Okay, so exercise room is fairly bright. You want a bright 85-inch. So in my 85-inch list, really the brightest one would probably be the Sam's. It's not listed because I thought it was overpriced, but the Samsung QN85A, if it can get that low, should also be considered, right? It is also a VA panel. It gets super bright. And if only there were more options at a discounted price. The X85J, my fear is I don't know if you can get bright enough. It doesn't have four-way local dimming, so it's not going to get as bright as the Samsung. So if you're not in a rush, since it is an exercise room, wait for the 85, the QN85A or the QN90A to slowly drop in price at the beginning of the year. So Samsung is notorious for just discounting everything once the next year happens. And that's why those large size TVs never make it to Prime Day. They're sold out by spring. So I'd say that the QN85A and the QN98 would be good target prices, but the X85J, it's so hard to say that it's going to be bright enough for your TV. It could be. And it doesn't matter about image quality as much because you're just watching YouTube videos, right? But it shouldn't be an issue at that size, actually, now that I think about it. And you know what? The 85J should be fine. Keep on thinking. If you put it in vivid mode, it shouldn't be a problem. You don't care, right? YouTube videos, vivid mode, you could save quite a bundle. But the thing is, the Q80A will also drop in price. So the $2,000 I think is a bit expensive for the Q80A or Q85A. I'm sorry, the X85J at 2,000 I think should drop a little bit more. So I think it's worth waiting, but I think the X85J at that size actually should be bright enough. I keep on forgetting it's a 85-inch size. So those of you who don't know, the TV's luminance may be the same, but when it's a larger size, it actually feels brighter and you get to see that brightness and the perception is it's brighter. So that's what's important. And quick one for Rowan. Hey, I have a living room and a game room that needs TVs. Thinking 77-inch A80J for the living room and X95 85-inch for the game room. Debating, should I get the 7080J for the game room? Do not get the 77-inch A80J for the game room because the 85-inch X95J is fabulous size. Get the size, get that brightness. I really like the X95J for a game room because for sports, you put it in brightness preferred, you put it on standard, and you watch the Super Bowl or basketball games, you're going to be amazed. The A80J cannot come close to the X95J when it comes to these bright hockey scenes, Olympics, it doesn't matter. You can blast it and it will take that brightness to the very top and brightness preferred. The X95J for sure, because I want you to have two experiences, right? You have your amazing cinema accuracy, the A80J, and then you have this fun, super bright TV where you could game on the PS5, the Xbox, and it will be bright and vivid. And the A80J can't come close without ABL if you put it in that kind of vivid mode, right? So have fun with that X95J 85-inch. And the A80J also doesn't have the same level of anti-glare as the X95J. X95J will have the superior anti-glare too. So in our game room, I assume you'd want that as well. Hey, Pecan, no, dipping zones have been around. It's just they've gotten better with software programming. So I love the newest dimming zone TVs because like Sony did, right? They did better with dimming zones than before. Hey, thanks for the super chat, Tommy. Return the TCL for the Sony X90J or no? If you are unhappy with the 646, well, why are you unhappy? If the X90J replaces it for the right reason, go for it. But you will notice it is not as bright. That's all I can tell you. But it will be more color accurate. So the R646 out of the box needs help. But if you like that image, then the X90J will be a disappointment. But if you feel that something is amiss, like the skin tones aren't quite right, maybe the shadow is too much, right? Everyone looks like they have shadows under their eyes because the contrast is off. The X90J will not have that problem. So is that why you're returning it? If so, yes. X90J is the way to go. But if you're returning it for some other reason, like, I don't know, the Google TV doesn't work very well, okay, then it's hard to say because the R646 is getting regular firmware updates fixing it. So let me know why you're returning it. I could not agree more, Michael. We have been. Yes, I love this chart. Let's get back to the chart real quick before I lose track of the time. Okay. Thanks for that, John. So the 77-inch level. So the $1,300 TCL 6 series. This is my current choice at the 75-inch for those looking for a budget TV. This is last year's Roku TV. It's their first generation mini LED for the 6 series. It is fine, right? I did it head to head in the 65-inch against the R646, and honestly, it doesn't get as bright, but its color accuracy out of the box is actually a little bit better. It's not struggling with the contrast brightness as much. So you're actually getting something out of the 635 that you might not get out of the 646 in terms of color accuracy. I find the TCL 635 out of the box to be a little bit more color accurate. Most importantly, of the things on this list, nothing under $2,000 will come as bright as the 635 TCL 6 series 75-inch size. So if this is your budget, you are rock solid safe. And I saw that Best Buy finally released their 646 75-inch, and it's actually 2,300. So I think that's just way too expensive for the 646. So I'm not recommending that. It's a great TV, but it's no longer like, wow, it's amazing at this price, unlike its 65-inch younger sibling, right? Or smaller sibling. So at the 75-inch size, definitely the QN90 at 2400. It's so hard to recommend if the $2,600 QN90 at 85 inches is there. But without that, it is a good deal because there's nothing else there that I can recommend. The X95J is still 2,900. It's not worth $500 more for sure. And of course, among the OLEDs, A80J, LG C1, both great. I would choose the A80J over the C1 because I think its image quality is consistently better for what I do, streaming and movies. And we're going to rant about that later. And let's see, let's check for more questions. Sorry if I missed you guys. Let me scroll up real quick, make sure I catch you all. I know I may have missed someone, so let me make sure I catch you all up here. Okay, I think I caught y'all. And if I miss you, just let me know. Here we go. Hey, Jay Tarek, thank you for that super chat. I have a seating area that is well lit from nearby balcony, but no direct sunlight. That's important. Does that make full array LED a better choice than OLED? Also, Sony X95J is good, but contrast is worse than X90J. Okay, so we have to talk about this again. First of all, is it native contrast you're talking about? Native contrast is when you turn off all your dimming zones. You turn off the full array local dimming zone system. When it's off, the X95J contrast is average, right? But that's not how anyone should watch any of these TVs. Samsung, Sony, any TV with dimming zones, you have to turn it on. It was designed to have it on. I cannot imagine a reason why you would ever turn it off. Okay, once it's on, its contrast is as good as the X90J, if not better. It all comes down to your settings, what you're using it for. And its blacks get deeper than the X90J. So it's so content specific. If you're running patterns, you may win some, you may lose some, but no one's going to watch the patterns. My hope is that with my comparisons, you can see it for yourself. The X95J is designed to be better than the X90J in contrast, in brightness, and in black levels. That's just how it was designed. So it is unlikely that image quality on the X90J is better than the X95J. Now, as far as direct sunlight and better choice than OLED, it's more of the anti-glare reflection, that may make a difference if you see that in your TV. So it depends on the size and OLED size as well. The larger the OLED, the brighter it gets. So if you're thinking a 77-inch OLED, for most people, that should be bright enough, or even an 83-inch OLED. Now, as you get smaller, then that brightness could make a difference. But if it's not directly on the TV and it's far enough away, I don't think it matters that much, especially in the 77-inch size. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think OLED is fine for a normally lit room, but once you turn down the lights, that's when it really stands out. Hey, Roland, thanks for the super chat. And let's see, do you have a question? If not, thank you, senor. Okay, Big Daddy. You know where you can find the Q98 for that price? It was actually on Best Buy, but it was only for a few hours. So this is what someone mentioned earlier in the stream. It's like I'm watching stock prices, right? By the time I see that price and then I get online, I'll tell you guys on Twitter or on my YouTube community page, it is seriously gone, right? You may have an hour to jump on it. So you really have to constantly check on Amazon and Best Buy. It comes in stock at that price. They lock in a certain number at that price. Once that number of stock for that price is sold, then the price disappears and it goes back up again. So you really have to hunt it down. And it's not at any one place. It was at Best Buy. Yes, I do, Ring Road. It's on an OTA, over the air rollout, which means not everyone gets it. For example, they recently updated their firmware to fix the settings issue that a lot of people are complaining. And if you go to the AVS forum, some people are getting it, others have not yet. So just keep on checking and updating, clicking update. If they have a manual firmware update capability, if you could download it, then that's something you can do. But check AVS forum and you'll see people are getting it right now. And it will continue to be that way. TCL tends to do rollouts, so some regions get it before others. Be patient, my friend. It's getting out there. This is what we're talking about. UAG has serious red smear. Among the non-OLEDs, the best ones without any sort of ghosting or smear, you're going to have to start with a Samsung and go from there. Samsung designed their TVs to have the least smear, but in return, it has the I don't want to say the worst image, but it's a little bit lifted across the board. Its HDR is a little washed out, but you're not going to get the smears. The R646 and X90J, you're going to have to ask Classy. He's testing the R646 right now with this kind of gaming stuff. So I cannot make that recommendation only because it's one, game dependent. I don't know what game you're playing. And number two, it is definitely setting dependent. If you disable VRR and you're going full HDR, or you disable certain low latency modes, it may have the red smear. Samsung takes their low latency mode seriously, and that's why their image quality suffers a little bit. They want to make sure you don't have these ghosting issues, but then the trade-off is what your HDR image is not as sharp. So, but as far as whether they don't have the smear, it's hard to say. Sorry about that. That now I'm just kind of guessing here. Will we ever see 4,000 nit mainstream TVs? Absolutely not, Mifa. Not this year or next year. And that's a whole other episode and video. But generally, it's because we've hit the limits of the TV's ability to put out nits without losing color volume, right? It's just not possible unless you want to see white light, just a black and white image. And even then, you're going to lose the black. It's not possible and still maintain some shadow detail. Okay. Don't they have holiday price matching thing? If I get over that price, won't they refund me later when it drops again? Yes, Big Daddy, they do. So as long as Best Buy, certain retailers, right? Best Buy is one of them. If you buy from Best Buy, and I think Amazon, someone said Amazon too. Check with Amazon. I know Best Buy. And also if you are a Total Tech support member, they go out of their way to make sure you have the longest time to adjust your price. So yeah, buy it today. That's why I tell people it's in stock today. Just get it. You're gonna get covered throughout Black Friday. My fear for you guys is that it won't be in stock, right? It's not even, oh, is this the best price? What's the point of saving $50 when the TV's not even there? And let's hit some more here. Hey Sanjay, Matthew Manikam, able to get Samsung Q90, Sony X95J, and Sony 80J, all 65-inch for the same price. Excellent. Inner apartment, floor-to-ceiling windows. Ouch. Okay, then Q90A 65-inch has the best anti-glare of that bunch. Go with the Q90A because floor-to-ceiling windows, you are going to have a nightmare of glare. What is it they say? My girlfriend complains because I can't watch my Korean dramas because of all the glare. So this is the case. I would get the Q90A not because of image quality. Again, if you have floor-to-ceiling windows, outside you're going to have neon signs and bright lights at night if you're in the big city, and this is going to be an issue. If you're not in the big city, then during the day you're going to have glare from the sunlight and from the trees, right? Peeking through the trees. To me, that is much worse than any image quality differences. Get the Q90A because of the anti-glare coating, and that would be the number one reason. So yeah, thanks for that. Hey, Big Daddy. Also, what model range receiver do you recommend for 2.1 HDMI? Onkyo, but it only supports 2.0 and it says 522. Okay, so 2.1 HDMI does not matter unless you are gaming 4K 120 HDR. But if you're okay with 4K 60 HDR, which is what most of the consoles really are designing their games for, this 4K 120 thing I think is a pipe dream. You're not going to get real games in 4K 120. They'll be in a container as 4K 120 that's forcing you to use HDMI 2.1. But if you only have an HDMI 2.0, as long as it could pass HDR 2.0, 4K 60, you should be okay. And VRR be damned at this point. That's my opinion because the way I game, I keep on thinking, I'm not a high performance gamer. So for me, I have not seen VRR benefit the stuff that I do on either PS5 or Series X. But some of you specifically value VRR, that's fine. But know that that's what you want it for. So mod range receiver, 2.1 HDMI. I do not recommend any receiver that requires 2.1 because the receivers are still struggling with 2.1 even today. Hold off on buying any receiver for at least another year. I won't even recommend buying it in 2022 because those 2.1 chips are not out yet. That means the receiver being produced in 2022 right now have not incorporated the updated chips. So keep that in mind. Like Yamaha is still dealing with it and they just re-released their model, right? So yeah, if 2.1 is important to you, don't buy any receivers yet. They are even farther behind than the TV makers, if that's possible. Hey, Thomas Love, thank you for the super chat. Writing from Germany. I am torn between C1 A80J 65-inch. 80J is 400 more than the C1. PS5 playing, streaming content. I would go with the C1 because the A80J is 400 pounds or 400 euros more. I mean, that's it. It's the A80J is a great TV, but it's not 400 euros more. So go with the C1. You're good to go. That is the better value. And hey, Herb Esteba, I will await your question. I will hopefully look for it and find it, but let me know if you have a question, Herb. And thank you for that. Here we go. Thank you, Andy, for that reminder. So this price matching now is only if you're a Total Tech member. So what does that do? So I am a Total Tech member because I get a lot of installations done at my place by Best Buy. And for me, as a Total Tech member, it only costs 50 bucks. So I'm getting my more Nest cameras and that floodlight being installed, $50 each. I had my dryer washer repaired. It's like a 12-year-old dryer washer that I did not buy at Best Buy. Didn't care. $50, came by, charged it once, came by 3 times, finally got the parts. I paid for the parts, 12 bucks, $13, and $50 once. That's amazing. So if you guys have a lot of stuff around the house that needs some repairs, I cannot imagine a cheaper visit because if you call anyone else, they charge $50 just to come by and leave, right? And not do anything. So, in addition to that, anything you buy from Best Buy gets, well, any electronics, including TVs, and I know they have some limits, but generally speaking, if you buy a TV and you're a Total Tech member for the 2 years that you own it, the first 2 years, they will replace that TV outside of any warranties that your manufacturer has. And to me, that's awesome. So I don't have to deal with the manufacturer. I just deal with Best Buy. I go, hey, this thing's not happening. I'm getting burned in. They're like, whatever, we'll replace it or we'll repair it. You do not have to call a manufacturer. And that's why I encourage people to get the Total Tech Best Buy package. As long as you remember the first 24 months of TV ownership, you just deal with Best Buy and you're done. All right. Where is the 65-inch 80J? It's right here, man. So let's go to the 65-inch. Thank you for that segue, Jeremy. 65-inch size. Okay, let's talk about this. In the 65-inch size, the $1,800 Sony 80J, the $1,800 LG C1, and the $1,700 Samsung QN90A. These, I think, are good prices. The Samsung QN90A may drop a little further next year, but this is pretty solid for Samsung trying to compete with OLED. And in most use cases, you're not going to see a huge difference if your room is a bright room. It's just whether you prefer Samsung or OLED. That's what it is. And in this entire 65-inch size, $1,000, 6 series, nothing comes close because look where you have to go to beat it. You got to go up here. Now, to be fair, Classy prefers the Sony X90J for a little more because he feels the color accuracy is so off on the 646 that he can't stand it. I disagree. I think the brightness is so amazing that it's worth putting up with the color inaccuracy, but this is where subjectivity plays out. So it's up to you guys, right? Some people love it, some people don't. And yes, it is having teething issues with its Google TV, but they're setting out their firmware updates, so it's something to think about as well. I think the best deal here, if Samsung Q98 continues to drop in price, which it may end up doing, by the way, then the Samsung is really a no-brainer for those not looking at OLED. And for those needing anti-glare at the 65-inch size, at the 65-inch size, the Sony X95J does not have anti-glare. For the discounted one, I really love the TCL 5 series as a budget entry level. Yes, it's only 60 hertz, but its image quality is amazing, and I believe it is the equivalent of the 2019 TCL 6 series before they went mini LED. So this being the case, if you guys liked the 2019 TCL 6 series, then TCL 5 series should make you just as happy because both of those are 60 hertz panel. And I think for regular streaming, movie watching, TV watching, $700 is not bad at all. Costco sells the A80J $3,000. Buy now or wait. Well, Costco is a whole different beast. Everyone will people will match the price of Costco. People meaning Best Buy or Robert Zone. However, Costco is also a unique buying experience. If you only want to buy at Costco, I would get it mostly because if you wait and it runs out of stock and never gets any more in stock and you have to wait until next year, will you regret it? And if you won't regret it, then wait, but I don't see Costco go lower than 3,000. You see my target price, it's around 2,900. I mean, is it worth waiting a little bit for an extra $100? Maybe, but you may have to wait until next year if they go out of stock. So it's something only you can decide. I would buy now if I'm ready to buy and 3,000 is in my budget. I'll buy now. Hey FOMO, thanks Soren. 2-year extra warranty, a must for the 83C1 or better choice, 14 feet distance, movies, Netflix, PS5. Your extra warranty, I don't see you getting burn-in. The 2-year, it's not a big deal. If you are a serious gamer, that's a wholly different thing, right? You're using it for a PC, you're using it as a Windows monitor for your PC. But the way that you're describing movies, Netflix, PS5, I see a variety of content. I don't think you need the extra warranty. Not a must. It's just peace of mind for some people. 4650 is an excellent price. At 14 feet, honestly, it is a little small. I would recommend, if it wasn't for the just awesome image quality, I would look at the 120-inch if you didn't have a dark room. But you have a dark room, go with the C1, but you're never going to go back. I guarantee your next upgrade will be a 100-inch OLED. So yeah, I think it's fine. Oh yes, this question is near and dear to my heart. Thanks, Mark. Hi, FOMO. Since HDR doesn't have an industry standard across the board, if you could choose between 10, 10 plus, Dolby Vision, HDRG, what would be the standard? HDR10 is absolutely fine. This is what I love about what's been happening with the TV makers. They're doing such a good job with their own dynamic tone mapping. Samsung, I'm going to name you and clap, but Sony too. You do not need Dolby Vision to get good HDR. If it's HDR10 base layer, which is all discs and all content that's Dolby Vision or 10 plus, their base layer is HDR10. If 10 is there, all the flagship TVs, phenomenal. I don't need Dolby Vision. I wouldn't even miss it. I wouldn't even turn it on, right? Because I wouldn't miss it. After so many comparisons, and you guys saw my video on Dolby Vision, if you're getting a flagship TV, not an issue. It's when you get the low mid-tier, like the X900H from last year, well, Dolby Vision will help with some shadow detail. Or if you have 10,000, 4,000 nit content, then Dolby Vision helps pull down the shadow detail that the TV might blow out. But again, The Samsung QN98 did not blow out 10,000 nit content. So you don't need it. You just need a flagship TV. The less than flagship, yeah, you may need Dolby Vision, but the low tier, like entry level, do not get HDR at all. HDR ruins the entry level TV because everything is way too dark now. So that's something to keep in mind. Hey, thanks for the follow up. Thanks for your reply and patience. In a nutshell, do I prefer the A80J or C1? I prefer the A80J for most content that I watch because of its color accuracy out of the box. I don't game 4K 120 VRR, so it's a non-issue for me. Hey, Ryan, thanks for that. I want a new 77-inch OLED. You said large TVs will drop in price next year. Will 2022 77-inch OLED drop to 2500, 2700 by Black Friday? Absolutely. But it may be for 1 or 2 seconds. And so this is the kind of thing where it's so hard to predict. 2900, solid, you get that now. But you want to push it down to 25, 26, 27. And if you're willing to go off the mainstream Best Buy, there's always Green Toe, right? So, but next year, yes, it will be below 2700, all the 77-inch OLEDs at launch. We're not even talking 2021. The 2022 OLED 77-inch by Black Friday in 2022, they will be under $2,700. So if you guys can wait another year, you're going to get a C2 or a whatever next generation 77-inch for under $2,700 on Black Friday. But that's just how it is. It's not, it's rocket science. You guys have seen where things are going. Best will probably not as long as you are within TV return policy. Having to do TTS. Here we are. Thank you, Michelle, for that. And Michelle, I do trust your opinion because you are the Best Buy guru. If you guys don't know, she and Best Buy are very good friends, right? You've been on and off their blacklist how many times now because they love you so much, and they love your attention. So that's what I thought, right? I do know that Total Tech Support will give you the 2-year as long as you are on a member. But this whole thing, I'm trying to keep up with their policy changes. And if that's the case, and of course, they could change their policy again. So anyone who's buying at Best Buy, if price matching is important to you, just talk to Best Buy, get it in writing and say, hey, are you going to price match outside of it? Because I know if you click on the price match question mark, it does say for Total Tech Support members, but it doesn't say limited to Total Tech Support members, right? So thanks, Deadly Brian. My friend, get the TCL, but I recommend LG. I just want reliability, make it right recommendation. Okay, fair enough. If you want trouble-free with whatever you're getting out of the box, I think Samsung Tizen more often than not gets it right out of the box. The firmware updates are normally to add features that they were hoping to promise, like eARC and a few items. I prefer Tizen over LG's WebOS. So generally speaking, if that's your preference, I would recommend Samsung's Tizen for that. Sony's Google TV has been pretty solid for me so far. So again, if you're looking at reliability and quality out of the box, Sony, I think Sony and LG would be number one on my list, both of those, right? And so you made a right recommendation. If they want it to be trouble-free and you don't want to be going back and forth, Sony and LG have the best after-sale support, I believe. So yeah, that's forget image quality because at the end of the day, if they want trouble-free, focus on that, and that's it. That's their use case because they really don't care about the image quality as much as being trouble-free. If that's the case, LG is absolutely fine. Hey, Soren, 83-inch 4650 C1 or 85 4800. Ah, I see. Dark room. Definitely 83-inch C1 because that dark room will allow you to enjoy everything the C1 offers. And the gaming is a non-issue. So, but I think the C1 will look better than the QN95A in gaming personally, just because LG C1 looks phenomenal gaming regardless. It's an OLED, right? You're going to get OLED quality for gaming. And 14 feet away, yeah, 85 inches sounds right. So for me, your choices, go with the 83-inch LG C1, especially because you're in a dark room. You don't need any anti-glare specialty or anything like that. Hey, Escobar, 75-inch QN90A for 4,000, 75-inch QN800, 5,000. Oh, wow, that's weird. Yeah, I would not touch the QN800. So take the 800 out because it's the same size and you're not going to benefit from 8K. 85, 77-inch A80J. Go with a 77-inch A80J from the Philippines. Hey, hola, Philippines. 77-inch A80J. Among this list, that will give you the most impactful image quality. First, this is the best size for the A80J. XR chip. You're watching movies. It's, yeah, nothing further needs to be said. Unless you have a super bright room and you need that QN90 for anti-glare purposes, the A80J is going to knock your socks off in a light controlled room. And it doesn't have to be completely dark. Just light control, meaning you have no glare. It's, it's okay. It's lit. It's not super dark. That A80J is going to be amazing. Go with it. I agree. Price is 5,500, QN900A, and it is updated. Sorry, Charles. This one is updated. The old chart was not, so you are correct. So yes, see right here? This is why I'm doing this. Thanks for that. Yeah, you're going to enjoy the QN900A. It's a great TV. This is one TV that Classy said he would actually choose as his movie watching TV. He liked it that much. Hey, Tariq, you had a poor opinion of X95J on your live stream. What do you feel changed your mind so drastically? On my original, it was overpriced. So go back to that live stream. I felt at that price, okay, as long as it's priced $400 to $500 more than the QN90A, I have a poor opinion of it. It is not $400 to $500 more than the QN90A. However, once they match the prices, right, and get closer in price, or if it's cheaper than the QN90A, now we're talking. So X95J, definitely the pricing turned me off, and it still turns me off. That's why it's not in green anywhere on my list here. It's just too expensive for what you're getting. If the 65-inch was 1,700 or less, then we can talk. Same here, right? X95J, it's like 2,900, 2,400. I'm not even recommending it here, but its image quality is phenomenal, especially in full screen. Uh, what changed my mind specifically is how it controlled blooming. I could not believe that its blooming control is better than the TCL 6 Series R646. It is number two to the QN90A in blooming control and black bars. That's amazing for 90 dimming zones, and that just tells me how important software is. That still amazes me, by the way. So let me get caught up here. Uh, and if I missed your question, Freeze, please let me know. Hey, SoCal King, I'm looking for a 65-inch on a budget, 120 hertz gaming, and I want soap opera effect. Soap opera effect. Let's see, 65-inch U7G. There you go. U7G is $900. It's 120 hertz. It's the lowest budget VRR capable gaming machine at 65 inches. Yes, there are some Samsung options, but they are over $1,000 at 120 hertz. The U7G is phenomenal. It may not match the Q80 or Q70. I think the Q70A is also a gaming machine, 120 hertz VRR capable, but it's not going to get as bright, and its image quality will fall short of the U7G. So you can debate. You can decide between the U7G or the Q70A. And correct. Anything with the One Connect box has 4 HDMI 2.1 ports from Samsung. So in Europe, the 4K TVs that have the One Connect box, yes, they all have 4. In the US, only the 8K models have the One Connect box. Unlikely, Paul. They're selling out like hotcakes at $8,000. But if you go on Green Toe, there will be discounters who will give you that price, but they won't be a mainstream seller like Amazon or Best Buy. And you could always negotiate something with Robert. Give him a call, let him know, hey, I sent you, and he'll give you the what is it, the BFF special. I don't know how much of a BFF I am with Robert, but just let him know that you would really like to bundle it with something. He will give you a bundle discount as well. If you're getting the 83-inch anyway, I strongly suggest bundling it with the A9HT and subwoofer. Then you'll get $400 off guaranteed off the entire bundle, right? So call Robert because he has more allocations coming in, because I know they're sold out right now anyway. So if you went on Best Buy, you can even get it if you wanted to. Okay, and we're almost getting down to the hour here. Let's get to the use case real quick. Oh, 55-inch, and then we'll get to the use case. 55-inch. Sony A80J, $1,400. Come on. 1,300. I mean, these are great prices. And the Q90, 1,300. I would choose the A80J first because I think its image quality is phenomenal. But the C1 at 1,300, I mean, $100 less, and you're a gamer. If you even game a little bit, the C1 is fine. It's just, it depends on your color accuracy issues, if you have any, right? It's not terrible. And the 1,300 is pretty amazing with anti-glare. It will beat both the OLEDs if you're in a bright room that has glare and near a window. So these, I think, are great prices for flagship level. We're talking the highest level that these TV makers offer. This is the best image quality you are going to get at 55 inches, period. The A90J at 2800, don't even talk about it. It's not worth paying more than twice of these. Or you can go a little bit lower, 6 series, and a little bit lower than that, the U7G, both at $700. These are the only TVs I would recommend at the 55-inch because they're such phenomenal image quality and deals and matches. So it's the easiest one to make. 85-inch, $3,000. Oh, the Q90A, if it's available, it will be under $3,000. And the X95J is a bit expensive still at $3,500. It's not $3,000 budget yet. So keep your eye on the Q90A. Stay away from the LG 90 series. Doesn't even come close to either of these TVs. It should not even be considered because you're looking at the Q90A and the X95J, and you're okay with $3,000. Target Q90A. I honestly don't think X95J will drop to 3,000. It's just a Sony thing. If it does, then look at the Q90A. Is at 2,600. If they're both the same price, then look at your use case. Do you need the solar powered remote control? Do you like Tizen? Do you like Google TV? It's really a trade-off. Q98 would probably have that touch better anti-glare that's famous for it, but the Sony X95J is color accurate out of the box. I think the biggest decision that I tell people is uniformity. At the 85-inch size, you're less likely to have a problem with the Sony, and Robert is more quickly able to get you a panel without uniformity issues. If you go through Robert, he'll check the panels. He has found more Sony 85 inches without problems than the Q90A. I still have friends waiting for a Q90A that is uniformity free from Value Electronics because he's discarded 2 of them already. Didn't pass. So that's something I think that's important. If you're paying that much, I don't want you to have problems. And this is all on Samsung. They got to find a better way to do their QC, right? Hey, oh, there's your question. 85-inch X95J is out of our budget. Got it. Next best suggestion, paired to HTA9, used for streaming sports and occasional gaming. Well, let's see here. 85-inch. An X95J 3500. Well, Q90A has been known to hit 3,000 and below. 2,600, it dropped a couple of weeks ago. If this is in your budget and you're willing to just be on Best Buy, clicking that button, refreshing twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, right? You might catch the Q90A when it comes in stock again at 2,600. Go for it because the only other TVs available is $2,000 X85J. That's fine, but the HTA9 doesn't need that center. It would be nice if you had it. The X90J doesn't match with it though because it doesn't have an 85-inch size. So it's so hard because the Q90 is such a good TV, but it doesn't have that integrated center because I think it does make a difference for me personally. But I'd say wait. I mean, no, 85-inch X95J is a 2021 launch, late model year launch, which means that it's overpriced. It will hit under 3,000 by Prime Day next year. So if you can wait until next summer, you can get it for under 3,000. Let me know what your budget is and maybe I can help you out. But yeah, this is next year, you'll see a lot better prices. 43-inch X85J is 4K 120 on sale through Best Buy. There you go. Thank you, Danger Dan, for that. So here we have a 43-inch 4K TV that is 120. It doesn't have any dimming zones, but it's on sale. And it is technically gaming capable because it has 120 frames per second capable. And VRR, is it a must? Okay. Oh, there's your question. Hey, thanks again, Mustang. Looking for 75-inch TV for the living room. Bright during the day, but watch 50% at night anyway. Mostly streaming Blu-rays. Q85, U7G, or TCL 6 series. 75-inch. I would leave the U7G out. The QN85 will be bright, 50%. I'd go with the QN. This one's tough for me because the QN85 is actually, when you're straight on, it's not bad. It's off angle that the QN80 struggles with blooming because it's IPS, has this blooming, but it's really bad off angle. But it's super bright. And at night, it's fine. It's better than the U7G in so many ways because it is a better tier TV. I can't even imagine you're comparing the two. The prices are completely different. And the TCL 6 Series 75 inches overpriced if you're getting the R646. So that being the case, I would go with a 75-inch TCL 6 Series Roku TV for like 1,300. I mean, right here. See, right here, 1,300. This, no bueno. This 1,300 all day long. And if you're just watching and you're not gaming, I think this is great. This is a phenomenal deal. I think the rest are a bit too expensive, but if you, yes, here we go. Streaming and Blu-ray movies, I think this 635 is fine. And all the money you save, get yourself an HTA9. That even adds more to the immersion, right? Get a good sound system. Budget is 3,000. I love that. Budget's 3,000. Well, let's see. On this list, if you find something in the $3,000 mark here, which we have, at the $3,000 mark, you have there we go. You have 77-inch A80J or Samsung QN98. These are 3,000 and they are the best value. One is 85-inch, one is 77. I start with the 85-inch because I love size when the picture quality is good. At anything under 3,000, this Samsung is amazing for an 85-inch. And if size is an issue, you need something smaller, then the best is either the A80J or the C1 at 77-inch. That's it. And if you really want to go small, you could spend almost 3,000 on a 55-inch, right? Or you could spend, so a 55-inch A90J, if that's your size, or the 75-inch. In the 65-inch, the $3,000 mark is gone. You have to go up to the A90 to pay anything within the 3,000 range, and you have to go all the way down. God forbid that you only save money and pay 1,800. So yeah, you're looking at 77-inch or 85-inch. Hopefully that helps. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you everyone for coming. Let me catch if anyone is missing questions, anything important. Oh, you snuck one in, Mustang. All right. I'll take last question and thank you everyone for coming. After this, I got to close shop. We are going to be back tomorrow with more questions. So come by tomorrow in a afternoon, lunchtime tomorrow or evening time. I think 2 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow on Pass the Remote. It's pinned. We'll be on tomorrow with Brandon and Brian to answer your question and rant about TVs. All right, $700 difference, worth it? The answer is no. It's not worth it. I would save the $700 and spend it on a soundbar. Actually, the 635 has better sound than the Samsung. So if you're okay with the 6 Series sound, then you're rock solid. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you.